Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kakio. Thank you for joining me for this evening's meditation and sutra study. The title of tonight's talk is The Story of Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta and Setting Good Boundaries. The practice will consist of a 15-minute guided meditation, a reading from the Lotus Sutra, our Dharma talk, and a Q&A. These teachings are offered free of charge, but if you'd like to make a contribution, information for PayPal and CashApp are in the description for this video. And if you'd like to do a deep dive into Buddhist training, check out my book, Perfectly Ordinary Buddhist Teachings for Everyday Life. It's available on Amazon, and there's a link to a sample chapter also in the description for this talk. So we'll begin tonight's meditation and sutra study the way we always do, with the guided meditation. So I'll give you a moment to find a comfortable position. The only rule is that you need to be in a position that you can hold for 15 minutes without moving, and preferably one where you're not lying down. We don't want anyone to fall asleep. Now, once you get there, place your left hand in your lap, palm up, and place your right hand atop your left hand, also palm up. Wisdom, holding compassion. Back straight. And we'll begin simply by focusing on the breath. Breathing in and out through the nose. As we do this, in and out, in and out, we send signals to our body that we're safe, that we can relax, that we don't have a care in the world. And even if we do, we're going to put those aside for a moment and just breathe. This is an important practice for me tonight as well. We had some technical difficulties that caused us to get started later than usual, but that's okay. Life happens and we just breathe through it. And as we do this breathing, in and out through the nose, we poke out our belly button with every inhale. And relax on every exhale, creating space for our diaphragm to drop into our stomach cavity, giving us a full lung full of air. And we'll do this for about 2 minutes. I'll keep time. No need to worry about that. Just breathe. And if the mind wanders, that's okay. We say hello to our thoughts. And we bring our focus back to the breath. Great work. And as we continue breathing, we start the visualization portion of tonight's meditation. we envision a ball of energy in our hara, the space behind our belly button. And this energy is our favorite color. If we like blue, the energy is blue. If we like green, the energy is green. With every inhale, we bring air into our lungs. And with every exhale, we blow on the fire of our spiritual energy, making it bigger and brighter, just like if we were blowing on a campfire in the woods. And we'll do this for about 2 minutes. We'll just breathe and feed our spiritual energy, making it bigger and brighter with every breath. Great work. Now for the next portion of the meditation, we'll send energy down from our hara, down, down, down to the center of the earth. And when we reach there, we'll find an energy identical to our own. If our energy is red, the earth's energy is red. If our energy is purple, the earth's energy is purple. And with every inhale, we'll pull energy up from the earth, up, 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 into our hara, the space behind our belly button, feeding ourselves with the earth's power, just as the Buddha did. And with every exhale, we'll continue to blow on that energy, making it even bigger and brighter still. So we breathe in, we pull energy up. We breathe out through our nose. We enliven and blow on that energy. We'll do this for 2 minutes. I'll keep time. Don't need to worry about that. And if our minds wander, that's okay. We simply notice our thoughts and bring our focus back to the breath. Wonderful. Great job, everyone. Now we'll move energy up a second channel to the top of our heads. Up, 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 past our sternum, past our throat, up to the top of our heads. With every inhale, we'll pull energy up from the earth to our hara. And with every exhale, we'll push it up, 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 out of the top of our heads, so that it showers down upon us like a volcano. So we breathe in, the energy comes up into our belly button, into our stomach cavity. We breathe out, the energy explodes out of the top of our head, showering us with healing energy and light. We'll do this for about 2 minutes. I'll keep time, no need to worry about that. And if our minds wander, that's okay. We just watch our thoughts and bring our focus back to our breath. Great work. Now it's time to move into the final portion of our meditation, bring it to a close. So as we continue with the visualization, we see the energy coming out of the tops of our heads, getting smaller and smaller, until finally it barely reaches the top of our head. Then it barely reaches our throat. Then it barely reaches our solar plexus. And finally, just rest right there in our hara, the space behind our belly button. And we simply continue breathing in and out through the nose. And next, we pay attention to the other energy channel going from our hara down to the center of the earth. And we start pulling that up into ourselves, up, up, up. Noticing as we do this that even though we drew so much healing energy from the earth, it was not depleted. The more it gave, the more it had to give. We say thank you. Maybe we do a mental bow in our heads. We remind ourselves that we're the same way. Now we just rest for a moment, focusing on the healing energy in our belly. Reminding ourselves that it's always there if we need to call upon it. But now it's time to bring our meditation to a close. So we come back into our bodies slowly, leaning our heads to the left, then to the right, back and forth. Then we come back to center. And if our eyes are closed, when we're ready, and only when we're ready, we open them. I'll give you about 30 seconds to do that. Take your time. Wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that with me. Okay. Now we move into the reading of the Lotus Sutra. We'll start that in just a moment. Just give me one moment to grab the reading. Wonderful. So this reading is coming from the BDK version of the Lotus Sutra. It's on page 265. It's Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta, chapter 20. It's not necessary to have your own copy of the Lotus Sutra, but if you'd like to follow along, you can. And in this story, Buddha is teaching us about compassion and about having respect for the inner Buddha that's within ourselves and also within other people, and how to respond when we're mistreated by others. So I'll do the reading, and then we'll have a discussion. Thereupon, the Buddha addressed Bodhisattva Mahasattva, Mahathamaraprapta. You should know that, as I have previously explained, those who revile, disparage, or slander monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen who preserve the Lotus Sutra will sow a bitter harvest. As I have just taught, the merit attained by preserving the Lotus Sutra will result in the pure faculties of the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. O Mahathamaprapta, in the past, immeasurable, limitless, inconceivable, and incalculable kalpas ago, there was a Buddha, a Tathagata, Arhat, completely enlightened, perfect in knowledge and conduct, well departed, knower of the world, unsurpassed, tamer of humans, teacher of devas and humans, Buddha Bhagavat. His land was called Mahasambhava, and the Kalpa was named Vinirboga. The Buddha Bhismagitavaraja expounded the Dharma for the Devas, humans, and Asuras in his world. To those who sought the Sravaka vehicle, he expounded the Dharma in accordance with the Four Noble Truths, ferried them from birth, old age, illness, and death, and ultimately led them to nirvana. To those who sought the Pratyeka Buddha vehicle, he expounded the Dharma in accordance with the 12-linked chain of dependent origination. To the Bodhisattvas, he expounded the Dharma in accordance with the 6 perfections, with reverence to highest complete enlightenment, and led them to the Buddha's wisdom. O Mahathamaprapta, the lifespan of the Buddha, Bhimagajitavaraja, was as kalpas equal to 40 myriads of kotis of nayutas of sand of the Ganges River. The true Dharma abided for kalpas equal to the number of particles in Jambuvipa. The semblance Dharma abided for kalpas equal to the number of particles in the 4 continents. After having benefited the sentient beings, the Buddha entered parinirvana. After the extinction of the true and semblance Dharmas, there appeared in this land another Buddha who was also called Bhismagajitavaraja, a Tathagata Arhat, completely enlightened, perfect in knowledge and conduct, well-departed knower of the world, unsurpassed tamer of humans, teacher of devas and humans, Buddha Bhagavat. In this way, there appeared 2 myriads of kotis of Buddhas, one after another, all of whom had the same name. After the parinirvana of the first Tathagata, Bhismagajitavaraja, there were excessively proud and overbearing monks in the age of the semblance Dharma. After the true Dharma had been extinguished, at that time there was also a monk, a Bodhisattva called Sadaparibhuta, never despising. O Mahathamaprapta, why was he called Sadaparibhuta? Because whenever he saw any monk, nun, layman, or laywoman, he would praise and pay homage to them, saying, I deeply respect you. I dare not belittle you. Why is this? Because all of you practice the Bodhisattva path and will become Buddhas. Furthermore, this monk did not concentrate himself on reciting the sutras, but only paid homage such that even when he saw the fourfold assembly from afar, he would go up to them, praise and pay homage to them, saying, I dare not belittle you because you will all become Buddhas. In the fourfold assembly, there were some whose minds were impure and who became angry and reviled and disparaged him, saying, where does this ignorant monk come from? He says that he himself does not belittle us and predicts that we shall all become Buddhas. We do not need such an idle prediction. In this way, he wandered about for many years and was always reviled, but he never got angry and always said, you will become a Buddha. Whenever he spoke these words, people would assail him with sticks or stones. He fled from them, yet still proclaimed loudly at a distance, I dare not belittle you. You will all become Buddhas. Since he always spoke these words, the excessively proud monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen called him Sadaparibhuta. When this monk was about to die, he heard in the air 20,000 myriads of kotis of verses of the Lotus Sutra, expounded previously by the Buddha Bhismagajitavaraja, and completely preserving them, he attained the purity of the eye and the purity of the ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind that were described before. After having attained these pure faculties, his lifespan increased 200 of myriads of kotis of nayutas of years, and he taught this Lotus Sutra to the people far and wide. Then those excessively proud monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen in the fourfold assembly who had despised him and called him Sadaparibhuta saw that he had attained great transcendent powers, the power of joy and eloquence, and the power of great virtuous meditation. Hearing his teaching, all of them believed and followed him. Furthermore, This Bodhisattva inspired 1,000 myriads of kotis of sentient beings and caused them to abide in highest complete enlightenment. After his death, he met 2,000 kotis of Buddhas, all of whom were called Kandrasuya Pradipa. In accordance with his teaching, he expounded this Lotus Sutra, and for this reason met another 2,000 kotis of Buddhas, all of whom were called Meghavaraja. He preserved and presided his sutra in accordance with the teaching of these Buddhas and expounded it for the sake of the fourfold assembly. Thus, he attained purity of the natural eye and purity of the ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, and taught the Dharma to the fourfold assembly without fear. O Mahatamaprapta, this Bodhisattva Mahasattva, Sadaparibhuta, respected, honored, praised, and paid homage to all these Buddhas. Having planted roots of good merit, he again met thousands of myriads of kotis of Buddhas, and he expounded this sutra over again in accordance with the teaching of those Buddhas. Having perfected his merits, he attained Buddhahood. O Mahatamaprapta, what do you think of this? Was this Bodhisattva, Sadaparibhuta, of that time someone unknown to you? He was none other than I myself. If I had not preserved and recited this sutra and taught it to others in my previous lives, I would not have swiftly attained highest complete enlightenment. Because I preserved and recited this sutra and taught it to others in the presence of previous Buddhas, I swiftly attained highest complete enlightenment. O Mahatamaprapta, then the fourfold assembly of monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen, who became angry and disparaged me, did not as a consequence meet a Buddha for 200 kotis of kalpas, nor did they hear the Dharma or see the Sangha. They suffered greatly in the Avicii hell for 1,000 kalpas. After having been freed from the consequences of their errors, they finally met Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta, who led and inspired them to highest complete enlightenment. O Mahatamaprapta, what do you think of this? Were those in the fourfold assembly of that time who disparaged this Bodhisattva persons unknown to you? They are the 500 Bodhisattvas in this assembly, beginning with Bhadrapala, the 500 nuns beginning with Simakandra, and the 500 laymen beginning with Sugatasitana, all of whom will never turn back on the path to highest complete enlightenment. O Mahatamaprapta, know that this Lotus Sutra will greatly benefit the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas and lead them to highest complete enlightenment. For this reason, after the Tathagata's parinirvana, the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas should always preserve, recite, explain, and copy this sutra. Thereupon, the Bhagavat, wanting to elaborate on the meaning of this further, spoke these verses. In the past, there was a Buddha called Bhimagajitavarajara, who had immeasurable transcendent powers, led and guided all sentient beings, and was paid homage by devas, humans, and nagas after the parinirvana of this Buddha. Then the true Dharma faced extinction. There was a Bodhisattva called Sadaparibhuta. At that time, the fourfold assembly was becoming attached to its own interpretation of the Dharma. Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta would approach them and say, I do not belittle you. Practice the path, and you will all become Buddhas. After hearing this, all the people insulted and disparaged him. But Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta patiently bore this. As he neared the time of his death, when he had expiated his past errors, he was able to hear this sutra, and his 6 sense faculties became pure. Through his transcendent powers, he prolonged his life and explained this sutra far and wide. Acting once again for the benefit of others, those who were attached to their own interpretations of the Dharma were led and inspired by this Bodhisattva and were enabled to abide within the Buddha path. After the end of his life, Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta met innumerable Buddhas because he explained this sutra. He attained immeasurable happiness, gradually accumulating merits. He quickly attained the Buddha path. The Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta of that time was none other than I. because the Fourfold Assembly, which was then attached to particular aspects of the Dharma, heard Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta say, "You will all become Buddhas." They have since met innumerable Buddhas. Those people are none other than the 500 Bodhisattvas and laymen and laywomen of pure belief, who are now gathered before me in this assembly to hear the Dharma. In my previous lives, I taught them and led them to hear and accept this sutra, which is the ultimate sutra. I revealed it and taught it to others and caused them to abide in nirvana. Throughout many lifetimes, they preserved and kept a sutra such as this. Only after myriads of kotis of kalpas have passed, a time inconceivable, can they hear this Lotus Sutra. Only after myriads of kotis of kalpas have passed, a time inconceivable, do the Buddha Bhagavats expound this sutra. For this reason, all you practitioners hear this sutra after the nirvana of the Buddha. Should feel no doubt about it, you must wholeheartedly expound this sutra far and wide. You will then meet the Buddhas lifetime after lifetime and quickly attain the Buddha path. So there is a lot there. What does it all mean? Well, to give you an idea, I want to tell you a little bit about my own life and my own path in the Dharma. So my earliest memory as a child playing with other kids, I was in preschool and we were playing kickball. And I think I was maybe 5 at this time, very uncoordinated, not very strong, not very good at kickball. And the guidance counselor told me to just look at my feet and wait for the ball to come into my eyesight and then kick the ball. So I tried this. And I did the thing you see in cartoons sometimes where they kick really hard and fall flat on their back. That was me. So I did that once. And then I saw some kids who were on my team go out into the field to join another team. They rolled the ball again. I kicked. And this time I tripped forward. And some more kids joined the other team. And then I looked around and I saw that there was no one left on my side of the field anymore. No one wanted to play kickball on my team. That's how bad I was. Everyone from my team had gone out into the field to join the other players. And I was by myself. So they rolled the ball a third time. I kicked it successfully, pop fly into the air. It was caught by the pitcher. That was the end of the inning. And not wanting to play kickball by myself, I just went off and sat in the grass. So needless to say, I'm not a professional kickball player. And this was kind of the story of my life. I was small, wasn't very athletic, so I got bullied a lot. And it was hard. I was a small kid. I had no social skills. And my dad saw this, so he put me in karate because no son of his was going to be bullied. And I was very good at karate. I was very successful, and I went to tournaments and won gold medals, etc. And I had very close friends in the dojo where I practiced karate, but I still had no friends at school because I still had no social skills. So that was my life, was me fighting bullies at school. And it actually got to the point where I just knew that I had to get into one fight every year, because then everyone would know, okay, don't mess with Alex. But I still had no friends. So I was not being bullied in high school at that point, but I was very isolated. And then I turned 18, I left home and I went to college and I joined the Marines. And I decided everything was going to change. I was going to be a totally different person. I started lifting weights. I took a more aggressive attitude towards the world. And the idea was I was going to build an armor around myself. I was going to be so strong and so wealthy and so successful that no one could hurt me. No one could touch me, no matter what. And it worked. kind of, to a point. If you wear the right clothes, you say the right things, if you have money, big muscles, etc., no one messes with you. But I was always lashing out at people at the slightest sign of disrespect. So everyone stayed at a distance, which is where I wanted them, because if they were at a distance, they couldn't hurt me. But the downside of this is, like, when I was a child, I was very alone. I was very isolated. So when it came to mistreatment, I tried just taking it when I was a kid. That didn't work. And then I tried defending myself and, being big and strong so nobody could bother me. And that didn't really work either. And then I studied Buddhism. And I found the middle way that's discussed in tonight's reading of the Lotus Sutra, where we start by recognizing the Buddha that's in ourselves and the Buddha that's in other people, recognizing that everyone is deserving of love and compassion, both us and others. And we also recognize that one of the best ways to create a situation of love and compassion for ourselves and for others is to create healthy boundaries. So I always compare it to a porcupine. If we're walking down the street and we see a porcupine, we don't wish it harm. It's a sentient being. It's a Buddha, deserving of love and compassion, just like us. But we recognize the porcupine for what it is, and we don't run up to give it a hug, right? Because we don't want to be stabbed by the quills. So when we're setting healthy boundaries, what we're doing is ensuring that we're in a situation that's healthy both for us and for other people. Which is why when you go into a Buddhist temple, there are lots of rules, lots of boundaries. Rules about when to meditate, when to walk, when to eat, when to sleep. And this can be a little bit jarring, but we have to remember that we're in a place of spiritual practice, and we're not the only ones practicing. Other people are practicing as well. So we set these boundaries so that we can all live and work together. Because if one person's trying to meditate and another person is chanting, well, that's not going to work. That's distracting. Or if one person's trying to eat a meal and another person's doing walking meditation around them, well, now they can't enjoy their food. So we eat food together, we meditate together, we chant together, not because we want to ruin anyone's fun, but because we want to set healthy boundaries where we can all live and work together. Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta did this. He never disparaged anyone. He said that you are a Buddha. If you continue on this path, you will all become Buddhas. I do not despise you. But he also didn't just sit there and allow people to hit him with sticks and call him names. He ran away. And then from a distance, he said, I will not disparage you. Keep walking the path and you too will become a Buddha. And sometimes we have to do that. We have to create that distance between ourselves and others so that they can't harm us. And then from a distance, we wish them well. When we look at the 5 lay precepts, or we take vows to not kill, to not lie, to not steal, to not abuse intoxicants, to not abuse sexuality, these are healthy boundaries set by the Buddha, once again, to help us live in concert with each other. We set boundaries for ourselves and our own actions, but the precepts go both ways, right? We expect other people to practice right speech when they talk to us. We expect people to practice right action when they move around us. And if they don't, we again create space. We create a boundary between us and them. Not disparaging them. We don't go to our friends and gossip, but we create rules and situations where neither us nor them can be harmed. This is something I've had to do in my own life. I remember at the beginning of my practice when I stopped drinking alcohol. And none of my teachers forced me to do this. No one wagged their fingers and said, if you go into a bar, just over the course of my practice, I realized that drinking wasn't helping me in meditation, so I chose to stop. Didn't disparage anyone, didn't say that you have to or don't have to do anything. This is just something I did myself. And some of my friends were very kind and supportive of this, and some of them not so much. It got to the point with one friend in particular where I had to have a conversation and set a boundary of like, look, if you don't stop trying to get me to do shots with you, I can't go out with you anymore. And he didn't respect that boundary. And we're still friends. I talk to him via social media, a couple times a month, but I don't go out with him because I know that when he starts drinking, he's not willing to respect my boundaries. But at the same time, no disparagement, no gossip. Something similar happened when I chose to stop eating meat. I would go to family gatherings, and I don't know, my family's from the South. So when you're from the South, you flavor everything with meat. So you have collard greens and they're flavored with bacon, right? There's macaroni and cheese and it has ham in it, right? So when I stopped eating meat, I had family members that weren't supportive of that. And they'd invite me to their home for a meal, but there'd be nothing for me to eat because it all had meat in it. So I didn't disparage anyone, didn't gossip. I just started bringing my own food, or I ate before I went. I changed my expectations of the situation. I will not disparage you. Continue walking the path, and you too will be a Buddha someday. And this is the middle ground we have to find as Buddhists. This is why setting healthy boundaries are so important, as the Buddha did with his monastic order, as Sadaparibhuta did when he was being disparaged by the monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen of his time. We set boundaries that allow us to show compassion to the Buddha in other people, and also to the Buddha within ourselves. And this isn't always easy. People don't like when we set boundaries. Sometimes they're understanding, sometimes they're not. But we set these boundaries not only for our own good, but for their good as well, to protect the relationship. Remembering that if they continue to walk the path, they too will be Buddhas one day. Amitabha. So that's the talk for today. I hope it was helpful. I apologize again for the technical difficulties we had in the beginning, but I'm glad we were able to power through that. We'll now begin the Q&A portion of tonight's talk. If you have comments on the reading from the Sutra, the story of Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta, if you have questions about the talk I just gave, or just comments in general you'd like to share with the group about Buddhism or life, type those in the comment section. I'll be sure to respond. I'd also like to remind you, if tonight's practice was helpful to you, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be notified when we go live in the future. Meditation and Sutra study starts every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It involves a meditation, 15 minutes, a reading from a sutra. Right now we're doing the Lotus Sutra. Then there's a Dharma talk and a Q&A. And on Sundays, we do Dharma Sunday, which is just a Dharma talk, usually tied to current events, also followed by a Q&A. So our first comment comes from Allison Gerfin. She did the bow emoji. Thank you, Allison. Good to see you again. Frank Ingiosi also did the bow emoji. Thanks so much, Frank. It's good to see you. Divad Buddha X also bowed. Thank you, Divad. Always nice to have you here. And he also left a comment. With hedgehogs, they need to cuddle to stay warm, but they stab each other with their quills and suffer. After the pain, they detach, isolate themselves, and freeze. People are like this. Yes, they are. And it's so funny you say that because I once read a story about hedgehogs. I don't know if this is what you're referring to, but a group of hedgehogs on a cold winter night, and exactly like you said, they get too close to each other, they stab themselves, they get too far away from each other, they freeze. And my thinking when I first heard that story, well, screw it, I'll just be cold. I'll generate my own heat. But in Buddhism, we're offered the middle way. As the hedgehog, we learn to be close enough where we keep each other warm, but not so close where we stab each other. And that boundary is going to be different for everyone. And it was something I had to learn as a Buddhist practitioner, to let go of my expectations of how I thought people should be and simply accept them as they are. If I loan someone money and they don't pay me back, okay, well, now we know to set that boundary. You're my friend, you're a Buddha, but I don't loan you money unless I don't expect to get it back, because we know that's not going to happen. Or maybe you are a very good friend and you've proven this time and time again. So now we can be very close together and I can pull you in and we can keep each other warm. And we can have that intimacy that we all want as human beings. But we have to respect not only the boundaries we set, but the boundaries other people set as well through their actions and behaviors. I believe it was Maya Angelou, the poet, who said, if people tell you who they are, believe them. And that's such good advice. Listen to people, watch them. The boundaries they set are the ones we should abide by. If they make it clear that they can only come so close, we respect that. If they make it clear that they can be trusted, we respect that as well. But boundaries are a good and important and healthy thing when dealing with other people. Good insight, Divan. Excellent. Loity said, what school of Buddhism do you practice and what brought you on this path, if I may ask? Absolutely. So I'm a non-sectarian Buddhist, meaning I don't belong to any particular sect or tradition. However, my practice is rooted in the Pure Land and Zen Buddhist traditions because that's where all of my training has been. So I've practiced in the Kwanum School of Zen, which is a Korean tradition. I've practiced with the Nyophon Chan order, which is a Chan Buddhist tradition. And I've also practiced in the Bright Dawn Center of Oneness Buddhism, which is a non-sectarian Buddhist order that, if you go back far enough, has its roots in Pure Land Buddhism. What brought me to the path was suffering. I was suffering. And I tried everything else. I like to tell people I just gave up. You know, I tried money, I tried a career, I tried nice clothes, and nothing worked. And then I tried Buddhism, and it worked. So I stayed with it. So I hope that answers your question, Lodi. Thanks for joining us this evening. Divad Buddha X said, the hedgehog dilemma I got from an anime called Neon Genesis Evangelion. Ah, okay. I've never watched that one, but I think maybe it's popped up on my Netflix once or twice. So I'll have to check that out. Thank you for sharing. You also said you can't expect a banana tree to grow mangoes. Yes, exactly right. You cannot expect a banana tree to grow mangoes. And yet, that's exactly what we do, isn't it? We always expect people and places and things to be different than what they are. We want them to be what we want them to be. And we suffer as a result. Or maybe you guys don't because you're perfectly enlightened beings, but I know that I've suffered as a result because I have expected banana trees to grow mangoes. And I believe that's such an important part of Buddhist training. It's just learning to accept the world as it is. Learning to accept people as they are. Not disparaging them, not wanting them to be different, just, okay, this is who you are in this life. Maybe it'll be different in the next life. Who knows? And we saw that in the Sutra reading, where all the people who mistreated Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta, they became good friends. They became part of the Buddha Sangha, and Bodhisattva Sadaparibhuta, he was reborn as the Buddha himself. So sometimes it's just not meant to happen in this life. Sometimes we have to wait till the next one. Yeah, excellent insight. Thank you. Beck Johansson did the bow emoji. Beck, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Wonderful. Good to see you again. Loety says, nice, very fascinating. Thank you for all your insights. Thank you, Loety. Thank you for joining. If you'd like to read articles I've written about Buddhist training, you can do that at my blog, The Same Old Zen. Link for that is in the description for this talk. I don't know if this is your first time joining us this evening or if maybe you've just been lurking. Either way, it's wonderful to have you here. And I hope you join us again. My cat wants a little bit of attention. Beck Johansson says, sorry, I missed it. Oh, no worries. That's why we record these. So you can go back and rewatch it at your leisure. That's the point. And what's really wonderful is even if you're not able to get the teachings from me, you can get them from the sutras. Go directly to the source. So I'm just glad you were able to make it. Thanks so much for coming. So, any other comments or questions for this evening? Hey, buddy. Okay, well, I guess that's it. Thanks so much again for joining me. This was very special. If you'd like to take part in Dharma Sunday, again, that's Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see you there. Amitabha. Allison Griffin just did the cat emoji with the hearts. Yeah. He's usually pretty good. Every now and then he gets in trouble, but I'm pretty fond of him. I'm glad you are too. Have a good night, everyone.